Thank God it's Monday. This is the Freedom Club podcast. I am your host, Kurt Mercadante. And if you are actually listening to this podcast as it airs on a Monday, or if you're listening to it as an archive on a Monday, or you know what, any day of the week, I want you to think about 3 things you are grateful for today and write them down right now. Because if you only live for nights and weekends, you only live for that TGIF, thank God it's Friday, then something is wrong because you need to start being fulfilled every day of the week. That is a huge part of the freedom lifestyle, and life's too short not to be fulfilled every single day of the week. So, in today's episode, I feature, so you hear me talk a lot about the Freedom Club community. It is my private Facebook community. If you are not a member and you regularly listen to this podcast, or this is your first time listening to this podcast, I want you to go to Facebook right now and I want you to search for Freedom Club Community. You're going to see my ugly face pop up. I want you to click on that, apply to join, get in there, because many of the episodes you hear, most of the interview episodes we do on this podcast are live streamed within that community. So you have the chance to watch them live, communicate, ask questions as we go. And there's a ton of other great exclusive content from me and other members in the Freedom Club community. So I invite you to join that community. Also, before I get to today's podcast, I want to put a plug in. Freedom Club Festival. This podcast is airing on April 8th. And as of April 8th, we have 17 tickets left to the Freedom Club Festival at the pre-sale rate of $44. On April 15th, or once those 17 tickets are gone, the price goes up to $60, or you can buy 2 for $100. So if you know you're coming, if you think you're coming, if you're on the fence, just go and buy the tickets. You're going to save some cash. Worry about your airlines and hotel later. So in today's episode, in the Freedom Club community recently and regularly, I ask people to ask me their burning questions, whatever questions they have for me, and they want me to answer. And so I answer those in a live stream. And today I answered a question from Sarah within the Freedom Club community. And she said, what are 2 or 3, vital lessons I've learned since I made my transition into the freedom lifestyle? So I answered that question today. If you have any questions for me that you'd like me to answer in the Freedom Club community or on this podcast, please go to my website, send me a message. I'm sure you can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. And by the way, the easiest way is just join the Freedom Club community Facebook page. We're getting people in every day. I think we might have surpassed 800 members already. So please ask me your questions. I'll answer them on an upcoming podcast or live stream. But without further ado, I answer in today's episode 2 or 3 vital lessons I've learned since I made my transition to the freedom lifestyle. Thank you.
Welcome to the Freedom Club podcast, where we strive to pull you out of your life of quiet desperation, out of your comfort zone of misery, and propel you into a life of freedom and fulfillment. And now, here's your host for this journey, international speaker and coach, and serial entrepreneur, Kurt Mercadante.
Sarah asks, what are 2 or 3 huge lessons you've learned since you took your professional leap into the Freedom Club? Thanks, Sarah, so much for your question. So 2 or 3 big lessons I learned. I think one is I look at money much differently than I used to. Now, some of you out there may be saying, well, it's easy for you to say you're more privileged. And you know my theory on that. If you sit around worrying about other people's privilege and your lack thereof, and use that as an excuse not to do better, not to fight for more, then, that's all on you. Because I know people who grew up without a lick of privilege. I know people who had negative money in their bank account. And you know what? They went and they built businesses. They didn't have any money to start a business. They went and started that business. But I had a successful agency for years, was making a good deal of money, yet I never had enough of it. Money was about stuff. Money was about saving. Money became about waiting, to enjoy life until I had enough money saved up. My wife and I, we were engaged on the fake Grand Canal in the Venetian Hotel in Vegas. And we said, oh, we're going to go back next year. We're going to go next year to the actual Rio Grande Canal in Venice. And you know what? We kept putting it off because even when I had 7 figures coming in, I never had enough money. So we kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. Finally, once I shut down my agency, my revenue went down, but my mindset was up. We went and took that vacation, not only to Venice, we spent 5.5 weeks in Europe. And so when you make that freedom lifestyle transformation, you have an abundance mindset and you don't look at money as something that's so scarce. We went on that vacation, spent a bunch of money. And you know what? I said, all right, I'm going to make it back next month because life is for living. Life isn't for waiting until you have another $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 in the bank. And I know some of you out there find that so hard to believe because you're stuck in that rut. Trust me, I've been there. I work with people who are there right now. When you break free, you start to build that abundance mindset. You start to think things are possible. You start to look at people who are living the lifestyle you want, who may be successful. And instead of thinking must be nice, they must be lucky, you start to say, hell yeah, I can go out and get that as well. So that's one lesson, Sarah, that I learned since I joined the Freedom Club and made my freedom lifestyle transformation. I think something else I learned is that once you break free into the freedom lifestyle, you may have been stuck in a rut of fear, that comfort zone of misery for years, and you can't even fathom breaking out of it. Once you break free, you look back and you think, my goodness, what the hell was I thinking? Why didn't I make my leap sooner? And trust me, I know when you're in that situation, when you're in that comfort zone of misery, it's hard to imagine that. But once you break free, you realize, why didn't I do that sooner? So that's number 2. Number 3 is, since I made my transition to the Freedom Club over the past few years, it has really become apparent to me how many other people were stuck in the same comfort misery zone of misery that I was stuck in. How many people, just like I did, feel that they need permission from someone else, from society, whatever it is, even to start dreaming and vocalizing the lifestyle they want. Because even thinking about the lifestyle you want over the years has taken a back seat to living a lifestyle you think is, quote, responsible or realistic, or the lifestyle that you think you're supposed to live. We stop dreaming. We stop thinking broadly. We stop thinking about what we actually want. And we start thinking about responsibility, what's realistic. And so since I've made my freedom lifestyle transformation, and certainly since I've started coaching, I've realized how many other people are in that same place. How many other people need to break free? And that's why I do what I do. And that's why I say my vision is to help save the world by helping others, by helping individuals live lives of freedom and fulfillment. Because I truly believe that by helping people do that, by helping them break free, have an abundance mindset, by realizing what's possible, it will save the world, right? Whether you talk about depression, whether you talk about people creating economic growth by breaking free from the 9-to-5 and creating that business they've always wanted to build. Imagine if more people broke free, if just 1,000 more people in this country, in this world, broke free to create their dream. How would that impact the world? So I do think it is about saving the world. So thank you, Sarah, for that question.